Now, forecasts show it could be the strongest storm on record to ever hit Jamaica. Again, we have Fox Weather's Robert Ray, who starts us off tonight in St. Anne's Bay, Jamaica. And Robert, I think a lot of people woke up, they saw you, and they were saying, wait, I thought he was on the other side of the island. Can you walk us through what your day has been like and the people you have met so far in Jamaica?
Yeah, hey, Steve, good evening to you from St. Anne's Bay here on the north side, basically the center of the island. By the way, we just lost power, and we don't even have heavy winds. We've heard a transformer blow, and this is what we're dealing with. It just depends on where some of those wind gusts are, and we have not even really begun. Well, in fact, we haven't begun at all the true impacts of this. So we are being lit here on the beach, the Atlantic behind me. I won't be able to stand here at all tomorrow. Yeah, we started off today in Kingston. Take a look at the video of the mountains surrounding Kingston and just sort of the murky feel up there as some outer fringe bands were making their way through, and also people boarding up restaurants, businesses, anything they can to prepare for the onslaught of this historic hurricane. But Steve, we decided to move. The power just went back on. This is what we're going through, and this will be the ebb and flow, by the way. Our decision to move was twofold. First of all, we were not going to head to the southwest part of the island. That is out of the question. 170-mile-an-hour potential winds, Cat 5 landfall, unsurvivable. This team is not going to put ourselves in a situation like that. But we did come up the center of the island about 60 miles to here to St. Anne's Bay because as this hurricane treks across the island, makes that northeast cut, we are going to likely be in anywhere between Cat 3 and maybe even Cat 4 winds. We'll be in a fortified structure. I'm going to bring in Jared Maloney here, who is a meteorologist. Steve, you know him, but for our viewers that perhaps don't, Jared is based in New York City, a meteorologist, a field producer, and really kind of my ear out here as far as the science goes. We talked about this last night, Jared. It was a very difficult decision what we made today. Kind of give us quickly why we did it and what we're doing.
So this entire island is going to be feeling some sort of impacts. The flooding impacts are going to be all over the place. The power outages are going to be across the entire island. We've talked about the storm surge on the southern side and the winds across the western side. At this position here, we are going to be able to document the wind side of this storm as it passes through, far weaker and far less dangerous, but still very powerful on the north side compared to the southwest side. And we're going to be close to a major highway, which is the road that we think is going to be the most reliable to get back online, so we can ferry ourselves to another location and to go and check to see how the island is doing in the immediate aftermath of the storm.
Like Kingston, which will have the flooding. That's why the highway, right?
Yep, exactly. So we can ferry ourselves back and forth down to Kingston. Now, we don't know how bad this flooding is going to be, and even if that main road, Highway 2000, up this north-south highway in Jamaica, if that is going to be okay immediately, but we do know that is going to be the first priority that the government wants to go and bring back here. We've talked to multiple officials. They are preparing for this. They're doing whatever they can to jump in and prep and do that immediate humanitarian aid and get the supply chains back to Jamaicans across the country, because this is just going to be overwhelming. Not a single nation on earth could stand a storm of this magnitude going through, and we are going to see, and we are going to go and bring you all of the information that we can, shoot the video that we can, especially in the world of AI, that we can bring you the ground truth.
Yeah. Good point on the AI. We've already seen mischievous videos out there that are just not real. And that is a problem. And that is why the ground truth is so important. And you know something? The Jamaicans have been watching Fox Weather and Fox News intently. Everywhere we go on this island, they are watching our coverage. It's important for the government here and the first responders to see what we're bringing and the visuals we're bringing. We may lose communication. That's a huge problem because of the power outages and also just the intense debris fields that are around here. What's your biggest concern as we go to sleep tonight in basically a fortified home up the hillside and wake up tomorrow morning?
Really, the biggest concern is power outages and any down power lines, especially on the roads, because that makes it an especially extra dangerous situation getting around. You don't want to deal with anything that may or may not be live, and also just in general blocking the roads. flooding, taking out parts of the roads. That is my biggest concern, is really what is happening to the roads. How can we move around? How can everybody move around on this island after this storm passes through?
Yeah, so Steve, aid is going to be a problem. The Kingston airport likely going to be inundated by storm surge, incapacitated for days, maybe even weeks. Montego Bay, because of the wind field, and Montego Bay Airport about 50, 60 miles to the west of us, likely going to be in major problems. So how will other countries get aid in here? Well, they're probably going to have to bring ships and then chopper in and make makeshift landing areas. That's the scenario we're probably going to be in. So we will wake up tomorrow to the fury of a landfall, and then watch all of this hell move up to this part of Jamaica, and then other areas receive so much rain and the onslaught of flooding, and Jamaicans will do their best. But this is something that no human being is ever really quite prepared for, except for this. We all have each other, and that's the way we look at it, and this team will be safe. Again, we are in a fortified house that we have rented by a very good group of people that are based out of Atlanta that own this home. We happened to come upon them, and we got very lucky, and we feel very comfortable about where we're at. We're not going to be on the water, and we're hopefully going to maintain signal as long as we can tomorrow. But just to warn everybody, we may lose it. We'll continue our reporting.
Robert,
Steve.
Great insight and report. It's good to see Jared there for everybody at home to know that you're not doing this alone, that it takes, a team in order to make these decisions. I do want to ask you, Robert, if you can ask Jared as well. Wanted to bring up some graphics at home.
Yeah.
Even as we have talked over the last several hours, the forecast has adjusted for you. I want everybody to see this. This is Montego Bay, Jamaica, where they're expecting wind gusts to be north of 120 miles an hour by 2 p.m. tomorrow. To give you an example, 2 to 3 hours ago, they were expecting 90-mile-per-hour winds. That is now skyrocketed up because of that westward movement. Now, that's Montego Bay, where we have both of you, Robert and Jared. Theirs has come down because of the east side. You guys are still expecting 90-plus mile-per-hour winds, which is significant. That's a very powerful storm as well. But I want to ask you about that deviant motion as Melissa continues to bully its way to the west, and ultimately on your decision, how that kind of changes things, because it's not staying true to the cone or the path that was anticipated.
Yeah, basically, Steve is asking about the cone and the changing and the wind speeds and how Montego potentially could get 120-mile-an-hour winds. In our area, maybe a little less. But honestly, Steve, I don't trust Melissa. I don't trust the trajectory of this storm. Do you?
At this point, I think the main philosophy is about locked in. There's always going to be wobbles, and this thing's been wobbling like mad with all the mesovortices that are shifting the eye, jerking it back and forth. But the main forecast philosophy, I would say, is about locked in. It's just all about impacts now.
But here's the thing. We said that 48 hours ago, that it was locked in. And then it changed. And then it changed again this morning. And then it just changed again in the latest update. So really, are you confident?
I am confident. It's going to be hell on earth in west-southwest Jamaica, and just moving through this island, the flooding to the east of that with the rains, that is all locked in. And the exact position of where the eye comes across here, yeah, we have some variability here. We're on the edge of where we could be in the inner core after it weakens a ton after moving inland, or we could be a little outside of that. So we have that variability there. Those wobbles will always be there. But in terms of general philosophy, I would say we are locked in for like the general philosophy of how we think the storm is going to play out.
Any way you look at it, there's going to be devastation up and down this area on this strip, this 2-lane road that runs on the ocean here from Montego and Negro all the way. Well, Negro being on the northwest point, and then Montego Bay, and then all of these communities here, and then to the south into Kingston. I mean, no one is escaping this, right?
Yeah, it's the hurricane will take over the entire island. It'll be different impacts for different parts, but every part of the island has risk of severe impacts, whether due to wind, surge, or flooding.
Yeah, I don't know, Steve. I don't trust any of this after the landfall. I think we should just be ready, as Jared just said, for any variable that comes our way.
It's important. And I think, Robert, when I've been listening to your reports and you've talked about it, trust the game plan, right? You guys are at a secure location. You know there's going to be multiple threats, and it doesn't matter how Melissa ultimately plays out. Everybody's going to feel a major impact, and you guys are in a position to handle it safely. And I think it's great that you have each other kind of battling back and forth with those last kind of minute adjustments and overall game plan. Thank you both for joining us tonight. And thank you for being out there, being the, ground truth of all of this, because of what's unfolding will be historic in Jamaica. That's Robert Ray and Jared Maloney. By the way, great to follow on social media. They're going to be doing updates on all of this as well. Thank you both for spending time with us tonight.